Hey guys, welcome back to the Schmoedown Respin presented by Cinetopical. I'm Nate, here on the desk as always with Strange Wang. On today's show, we'll be discussing the following topics. Did Robert the Spider Parker indeed throw a perfect game? We'll be talking about next week's match, The Wicked versus Rogue 2. We'll be discussing this week's match, Claudia Dolph versus the Warfather. But before we get into all of that, Strange Wang, did Robert the Spider Parker have the best debut in Schmoedown history?
I don't think it's the best debut, but that's only because Bibiani, when he did come in, perfect game. And on top of that, he broke a points record. So I think for that extra little bit of the cherry on top, if you say, I think that's why Bibiani has the best debut. But Parker's not far from behind.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think it's kind of hard to not give that to Bibiani. And plenty of other contenders have had spectacular debuts as well. Yes, Parker did not miss a single question, but we also didn't go to round 3. You know, he didn't have that sometimes extraordinarily difficult 5-point question.
Yeah, like if he would have got the Mike Kalinowski,
Yeah.
what is Iron Man's robot hands car?
Yeah.
Like, who knows?
Agreed. And, obviously, like Mark Knopik, amazing debut. You mentioned Bibiani. There's just so many great debuts out there. The fact that, I feel like a lot of how good your debut is also kind of depends on the opponent that you're playing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Ace probably knows a lot more than he showed, but he kind of shit the bed on that one. So,
And a point we talked about last week, I think because it's been an Inner Geekdom, I think that does give it a slight as well. Because you look at matches in the past that's been terrible knockouts. Cushing versus in the tournament match where she scored 3 points and Cushing had 26.
yeah.
We've seen these kind of knockouts in the Inner Geekdom before. Mark Knopik, Emma Fyfe. We've seen these, honestly, someone called the cops, violent knockouts in the Inner Geekdom. So even though it is impressive and not taking anything away from him or the dungeon,
Yeah.
I've seen it before, so I don't think it is the most impressive because of that. But
Sure.
did he have a perfect game? I don't think he had a perfect game either.
Yeah.
He didn't get to all 3 rounds. And I think if you want to have a perfect game, you have to get through all 3 rounds to have a perfect game. Did you have a impressive knockout? Yes, but you did not have a perfect game. I think it has to be 3 rounds.
So are you saying you have to go to your 5-point question, or you just have to get to round 3?
I think you can get TKO'd.
I kind of agree with Roka's opinion, of the baseball opinion. A perfect game goes 9 rounds. So on that point of view, then yeah, I would agree that it would need to go all the way to the end. But if that's the case, I mean, I'd just be curious to how many actual perfect games there have been in the Schmoedown, because that's incredibly difficult to do.
It's like Big Miss on backstage. He had a perfect game,
Yeah.
but he went to multiple choice on one question or got his opponents. He got a still wrong or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the stills count in there too.
Yeah.
If they're thrown at you, you gotta get those as well.
Well, continuing with the baseball analogy, there's a difference between a no-hitter and a perfect game.
Yeah.
So Parker threw a no-hitter for sure, but it's not a perfect game. I agree wholeheartedly. The more I think about it, the more I think I agree with your standpoint. But that just makes it so difficult because so much of it depends on your opponent performing well as well. So,
I mean, that's the way it goes. It's like you said when we was talking about Parker a minute ago. If the thing I threw out there is if you would have got the Tony Stark robotic hands questions,
Right.
something absurd that even Mike Kalinowski couldn't get to and was stumped by, could he gotten that 3-pointer? The Inner Geekdom stuff is deep. You don't know what his 5-pointer would have been. You don't know how deep it would have gone.
it's true.
So maybe he would have got Who Said It, and it would have been a line in Supergirl. Nobody probably would have gotten that right. But he might have. Who knows? We don't.
Yep.
But we do know who's playing in next week's match, and who was that?
We do. It's going to be The Wicked, which is Jared Habon versus Vegeta. That's not his name. I just have no idea how to pronounce it. Versus Rogue 2, which is Adam Hlavik and Liz Shannon Miller in a teams match. Something that we haven't seen Habon or Hlavik in, to my knowledge.
Yeah. For the countless hours I had to spend with someone hearing about The Bachelor, his name included, I'm going to give it to Hlavik and Liz Shannon Miller because I think Liz Shannon Miller is the stronger player out of her and Jim, as he said, Vegeta. But Hlavik, on the other hand, he's in the movie atmosphere.
Right.
So that's also an edge. It really comes down to those two Energeekdom players. Who's the more knowledgeable in cinema? And I think Hlavik being the better IG player as well. I think that encompasses his team's like regular movie knowledge as well.
Yeah.
So Rogue 2 gets my point.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. Habon has never super stood out in the Energeekdom, the few matches that he's played. Hlavik has been kind of like...
Very inconsistent.
Yeah, just really inconsistent. I mean, he has some spectacular matches, than other times it's like, man. But I think because he is more consistently involved in the Schmoedown, he knows this game, I think, a lot better. He has more experience with this game than Habon does. Hlavik hangs around a lot of more of these movie-only type people, whereas Habon probably hangs around a lot of different type of people. So I agree with you. I think Hlavik is much more immersed into the world of film. Liz Shannon Miller, I know she's kind of like had a little bit of a rough start, frequently gotten traded, all that kind of good stuff. But I still am going to help. Like, she's going to help this team still. She's going to give them that edge. And on to this week's match, Claudia Dolph versus the Warfather, Corruption versus the Droogs. Obviously, heavily mentioned. Dolph was traded twice already. So this is the third team that she's been on. Technically, her and Warfather were teammates. However, neither of them had played a match up to this point. Round 1 goes a little rough for both players. They come out of the round 4-4 tie game. On to round 2, Dolph chooses to spin first since she is in the favorite chair. She hits musicals and seems absolutely pumped about it, and obviously for a good reason. She goes 4 for 4, all 2-pointers. Now has an 8-point lead going into Warfather's spin. Warfather spins away from dance movies. Nothing super surprising there. I would assume that that's probably a good move for him. His second spin is Scarlett Johansson. He gains 5 points out of the round, does give up a 1-point steal to Dolph, so it's 13-9 in favor of Dolph going into round 3. That is a decent-sized lead. Round 3 takes an interesting turn. Warfather hits his 2-point Jaws question, misses the Hitchcock 3-pointer. You seem upset.
I flipped the table on this question. But I'm not playing the Schmoedown. I didn't have the lights on me, so benefit of the doubt.
Gotcha. So after all this, he has to hit his 5-pointer to stay in the game. It's a Tarantino question, a favorite here on Cinetopical. And he easily nails it, and it was not a super easy Tarantino question. It was a 5-pointer. He dodges the TKO. Now Dolph has to hit either her 2 and 3-pointers or just her 5-pointers to avoid a loss or sudden death. She clearly doesn't believe in Harvey Dent and misses what I think is a softball of a 2-pointer. Misses her 3-pointer as well. So despite the strong lead coming out of round 2, Dolph is now hanging on her 5-point question. It's in the category of new releases, and she gets a Mary Poppins Returns question. We just saw her absolutely crush musicals in round 2, including an OG Mary Poppins question. This has to be in the bag. This has to be end. Game over. No, she misses it and ends up losing the match to freaking Warfather.
Well, we do something on the channel, predictions, and at the end of the season, they will get tallied up, and there will be a punishment for the loser.
We didn't talk about that.
So, yeah, because you're going to be the loser. Because I got a point on this one, so I was happy Warfather won, but it was a very nerve-wracking match because of round 2. She did so well, right. And I was like, oh, he's going to win. He's going to win. I will get the point. And then the musical question came up, and I was like, oh. But Warfather got the W. I'm curious even more to see what she will do in the league.
Right.
Because, like, you're not going to land on dance every time.
Yeah.
You might have a run like Team Action where you get it 5 out of 6 matches. Mm-hmm. But what will that 6th match do? Yeah. So I'm curious, but knowing Barney, you know, you lose one match, you get traded off. So I wouldn't be surprised if she got traded off real soon.
For sure. So Dolph moves to 0-1. Warfather moves to 1-0. What are your thoughts on Warfather's debut as a player? You spent a lot of time talking about Dolph already. In Warfather's singles debut, what did you think of him?
Personally or professionally?
Both.
Well, personally, I think he's an idiot. I think the gimmick is dumb. I'm not a fan of it. The Barbarian showed like that gimmick can be funny and interesting. He's just loud. Not a fan of loud people. The only thing I like loud is my wardrobe. But he's alright. Maybe you need to put him in a team with someone who knows a bit more and who's a bit more knowledgeable about the Schmoedown, because he said he didn't want Brunette over there for in between rounds talking to him.
Right.
So maybe he needs someone in there to be like, hey, I play the game hundreds of times. That's what we need to do. So
I gotcha.
Not the greatest of players we have in this match, but
yeah,
they're not terrible.
Agreed. Debut matches for both players. Dolph says in her post-game interview that the lights and pressure didn't get to her. She just didn't get movies that she knew. I'm going to call slight BS on that. I think it seemed obvious. I mean, you know, I understand she didn't have a stellar round 1. She still got some questions right. Obviously, she nailed her specific category in round 2. She did get a steal in a Scarlett Johansson category on not the easiest question in the entire world, because in the movie that they were talking about, Scarlett Johansson's not even a physical person. She's a computer. So I think that she knows a lot more than how this match ended. I think the lights did get to her. I think the pressure did get into her. So personally, I think out of the two of these players, I'm more excited to see more of Dolph. I do think that she will end up being the better player. Also because she doesn't have this super strong gimmick to have to hold her back.
Agreed. And I agree to that point as well. If you look at the greatest movies of all time, she got a question about one of the greatest films of all time, and it didn't come out not too long ago. It is The Dark Knight. How can you not? Like, I don't like comic book movies, and even I knew that question.
Yeah.
The pop culture phenomenon of The Dark Knight and Nolan's series, I think it's hard to not get that.
For sure.
And I think with the lights being on is the reason why she didn't get it.
Yeah, I understand that Aaron Eckhart is not the most well-known actor in the world, but I mean, he's Harvey Dent.
He gets work too. I mean,
yeah, it's true. And she said in the post-game interview that she had Aaron, she just couldn't pull his last name. And like, I have a hard time believing that if you're not just sitting on your couch at home or at a nice, comfortable kitchen table, you don't immediately pull Eckhart. Like, that was the game. So, but those are our thoughts on the past week of the Schmoedown and upcoming matches. Let us know what you think. Specifically, tell us what do you think the greatest debut in Schmoedown history is down in the comments section below. As always, like, share, and subscribe.